We usually take you to far-flung places here at Country Life, but not this week. Today we're visiting a farm in the middle of New Zealand's largest city. 172 hectares of farmland and nature reserve, surrounded on all sides by city dwellers. Cornwall Park has about 700 head of stock, yards, woolshed and fence paddocks, just like sheep and beef farms you'll find around New Zealand. But there are some major differences too, as producer Liz Garton found out.
I know these aren't your usual relaxing country life sounds. Busy roads, a busy cafe.
Hi, just after a coffee.
But my journey to today's guests takes me right into central Auckland and into Cornwall Park, where I grab a coffee before heading to a busy farm in the middle of the city.
Did you know there was a farm here?
Oh, yeah, sure. The animals everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, I've lived in the area for 30 odd years. I love it, and I love lambing.
No, I did not know there was a farm, but I have seen cows and sheep.
Yeah, all the cows and sheep, and we walk past like the area where they, do all the farm things.
One of those areas where they do the farm things is the shearing shed. It's a place you really need to smell to appreciate the sharp tang of lanolin from the freshly cut wool. And it's going off in here today with the music blasting as the shearing crew works their way through the flock. Unfortunately, after a run of perfect sunny days, we've had a couple of wet mornings in Tamaki Makaurau.
Our contractor says it always rains when I ring him. And her, Emily Welch is our contractor, and her husband Sam says when Peter rings it rains. So that's all right. Our crops like the soft rain we had yesterday morning and this morning. So that if they don't get done today, they'll get done another day.
How many have you got to do?
760.
This is Cornwall Park Farm Manager Peter Maxwell. It's smoko at the wool shed.
Sit on this, where the flies are.
He's taken a seat on the Utes tailgate to have a quick chat with me.
This whole farm situation is from the gift, the Sir John Logan Campbell gift from 1901. So through next year we're going to they'll start celebrating 125 years of the farm being here, and that's all pretty cool.
But the farm has been operating since well before 1901.
There's a few news snippets about people farming on the property in 1850 something, a few funny ones. Something about the chap that was in charge was getting people to stop bringing their cows to service his bull through the night.
Today, the breeding program on the farm is a lot more organised. Peter buys in bulls and rams on alternate years, and they keep them for about 4 years, as long as they're working out.
They started a Simmental cattle stud here in about 1992. They're all polled, no horns. They're very quiet. Because where we are, they have to be quiet. So the 60 cows, and we've sort of progressed. Sometimes Simmentals have trouble calving, but we've done a bit of work on that. And so this is our first year that we haven't pulled a calf out of a heifer or a cow, and no dead calves.
Wow.
So we're actually a little bit thrilled about that.
And of course, the sheep, which after today will be freshly shorn.
They've had a bit of history of having these Perrindale ewes, and we've been buying some very good rams from Russell Profit down in Mahanui. So Russell and Mavis have done this whole facial eczema thing. Facial eczema is a pretty bad disease in sheep, and they've done an enormous amount of work trying to get the sheep better. So we've only been doing that about 6 years. So we believe we're getting less facial eczema and less deaths, which is always a good thing.
Peter brings in a crew to shear the sheep. Rosie Harwood, has been hard at work this morning.
I'm looking to separate the bellies from underneath the sheep, and I'm looking for their crutch and all the shitty dags and bits and pieces, and we're trying to keep all the clean, nice wool all together, and we'll chuck it all in the press, and we'll get a nice bale out of it.
This is a university gig for 19-year-old Rosie, who's studying at Canterbury University.
Well, my dad's a shearer, so I've been in and out of wool sheds since forever. We drove up here in the rain and hoping for some dry sheep in the sheds.
Did you get any?
Yep, we definitely did. The boys are working hard this morning, yeah.
While the whole crew were working hard, music blasting, I had a chat with Jacob Smith, whose shoelaces we featured on Country Life earlier this year. Jacob's looking at a joint venture with Cornwall Park Farm.
I'm always wanting to support as much of the wool industry as I can, so we're trying to get more sheep and wool to be part of our journey for bringing wool to the front of streetwear. So at the moment we're at Cornwall Park trying to see if we can use their wool to create exclusive shoelaces for Cornwall Park's shop.
Peter's keen on the idea of keeping it local.
If we do something with those shoelaces, that would be quite cool. Yeah, we're just going to give it a go. If he buys the wool, we'll just see, and we'll just keep selling it to him. He's good and he's local, so that's probably a good thing.
So Peter's been managing Cornwall Park Farm since 2007.
This job came up, we were successful. It's a very nice house that we've got here, so we like that. Angela likes it here, so...
That's your wife?
Angela, yeah 41 years. So,
And he says managing a small city farm is different.
we're not no neighbours to send stuff off to or graze, so it's all in-house. We buy a silage in, but they have to stay here, so the animals. So we do a bit of a lamb crop every year, 12 hectares of that, and that goes into new grass in the autumn. A lot of that's to do with the kaikuyu. This place, Auckland's the weediest city in the world. Everything grows, so there's every sort of weed you can think of. So we spray out an area and crop it, and then spray it out again when it comes out of Raffno. Peloton Raffno has sort of been stuck to for the last few years, and a bit of this rocket fuel chicory over there. And then it goes back to new grass, so we get a crack every few years at trying to drop down the rat's tail and the kaikuyu and anything else. Only hungerweed. There's a few challenges here and there with some archaeological areas that we don't graze cattle on, and so that's a bit of an issue with some of the weeds and the worms and that sort of stuff, but we're just working on that the whole time, just trying to keep the worms and weeds down. That's the trick.
The lack of farming neighbours is something Peter is very aware of. He stays connected through industry events, and he's recently joined the Kaipara Farms discussion group, which has been good for chat with other farmers. And he takes particular interest in the dog trials.
I've tried to get a little bit better at training them, which probably hasn't been that successful, but Brenton is very good with his dogs.
Brenton is Brenton Hellier, the senior farm assistant.
They've got to be sort of park dogs first, just well trained and good with other dogs. There's hundreds of dogs in here, so we're crossing sheep or cattle across the road. They can't be running off and fighting with the Bichons and the snappy fox terriers and that sort of thing. But as I say, Brenton's much better than me, and that's probably why I've gone to further these dog trials. Training days, so they're all quite well bred but poorly trained on my ones. So that's why
You're probably being hard on yourself.
no, everyone knows.
The thing about working a city farm is that there are always people around, and while there aren't farming neighbours, there are still neighbours.
You can tell people have just bought a new house, or they chuck rubbish over the fence and they have a loose dog, and so that takes a bit of training. So almost everyone's trained.
I love that, you've got to train your neighbours up.
Well, there's a bit of that. They all like the farm outlook, but they tell them not to stick their rhododendrons and other crap over the fence.
Peter says most of the neighbours are very good, although he's had some memorable moments.
There was one neighbour rang every Sunday afternoon to say there's a lamb sick or dead in a particular sheep camp just out from her house. And we thought, that's bad, but we went out and they all ran away. And then the next Sunday she rang, there's a lamb, that lamb's still there, it's just sleeping. And the next, this went on, and she said, there's still one there. And I said, they're fine, they just sleep there, lovely view. And she said, I put some sheep pellets out for it to eat. And so, that's unusual. So we went out there, but they weren't sheep pellets as in lucerne and a bit of oats and some chaff mixed in together. They were from the other end of the sheep. They were the sheep pellets that you put on the garden, the sheep poo pellets. So we explained that was the wrong sort of sheep pellets. But there's numerous people, and that's the whole thing. We don't lie where the sheep go. Freezing Works is just 8 kilometres that way, and so all the wethers and the cull ewe lambs slaughtered there, and that's really to help defray some of the expenses in the farm. That's my sort of thing, is restrain the loss, and we've pretty much done that every year.
There are other considerations that Peter also has to give weight to with this city farm that other farmers might not.
Trust board has said every ewe have a lamb and every cow have a calf, so there's those sort of, other people may laugh about that, but that's why we're working on these ewes to have more twins. There's no pets. They don't want it to be a petting zoo. They really do, really want it to be a commercial look, commercial feel.
So Cornwall Park is self-funded from leasing out land in the surrounding area. And while it doesn't rely on the farm for profit, as you heard, Peter talks in terms of trying to restrain the loss.
We get as much money for the lambs as we can, as much money for the bulls as we can. We spend a little bit more than some other people, perhaps on animal health, just for other reasons. But we have some constraints. We've just got to the stage where we're self-sufficient with our cropping, so we can do all our spraying, cultivating, rolling and seeding, we sow everything down ourselves, so we'll take a little pride in that.
Of all the differences between a city farm and a rural farm, the biggest has to be the people.
We have a lot of volunteers coming and going, a few cadet types years and years ago. Some of them have gone on to big jobs, which is quite pleasing, taking people from the city and going out onto farms. That's probably one of our KPIs. We're open every day, so there's people around all the time. We know there's 1 million cars going through here and possibly 2 million people. So it's pretty busy that way, keeping everything looking reasonable.
That's a challenge not many farmers would have, would they?
We've covered it. I think we worry a lot about animal welfare and stuff. There's a few people, a lot of it's interpretation. I explain to people that there will be a few lame sheep. There's always a bit of foot rot on this property. So we do an awful lot. You might have seen those sheep running out through the trough. Every time they come past these yards, they go through the trough.
As Peter said, millions of people are wandering through the park and the farm every year, many with dogs.
Yeah, we have had a few frights with town dogs. Just the other day we had a loose dog that was being let loose by some people, attacked another dog, and that was apparently a big vet job and the police and everything. Yeah, we've had some frights with the stock, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the public. I call it the people police. There's the people, that many people, they are watching, they're all watching. A lot of, I say, hundreds of dogs in a day. So they've got their dogs in the lead, they want everyone else's dogs in the lead too. They don't want to be rushed at and attacked at and barking. And generally, it's this quietness that people come for, which is exactly what Sir John Logan Campbell wanted. He wanted it to be the lungs of Auckland, clean air. And with this amount of trees, we have very clever arborists looking after sort of like 6,000 registered trees. And so, yeah, the tree thing is a big deal. A lot of shade and shelter for the stock.
Hiya.
How are you, Thomas?
Hi Thomas, I'm Liz.
Hi Liz.
This is as good a time as any to introduce Thomas McDougall, Cornwall Park's lead arborist. He picks me up in the ute.
Yeah, my knees are blown out from 25 years of climbing, so...
And drives us off to have a chat amongst the trees.
So how long have you been the arborist here?
I came to work here about 10 years ago, just as a junior arborist, even though I was fairly experienced. And then I've slowly sort of, I guess, risen through the ranks. So now I'm a lead arborist and, quite privileged to be able to work on the veteran trees in the middle of the city.
Yeah, cool. So where are we going to go?
There's quite a few interesting places around here. We're not necessarily an arboretum, but we are a collection of trees, and so people have planted trees here for various reasons. Where we're walking down to now, this is a eucalyptus grove. These are actually an old forestry project, so it's a bit of a scientific project. Each row is a different species of eucalypt, and they wanted to sort of measure growth rates and whether it would be good for New Zealand forestry. Same with our Kauri Grove, so we're about to walk into the Kauri Grove.
How long has it been running for?
Since the 70s, I believe, 60s or 70s, yeah. We taped this one out about 5 years ago as a way to mitigate Kauri dieback. And it had a great knock-on effect, keeping the public and the mowers and stuff out of there, and you can see all the native rejuvenation. That's happened completely naturally. We've had no physical planting, that's all been birds coming depositing seeds. So now we've got this beautiful understory.
The gum and Cody stands are still being monitored. Thomas says recent measurements suggest the Cornwall Park Cody has had the largest growth rate of any Cody stand in New Zealand, which he puts down to Auckland's warm, wet conditions and the alluvial soil.
You can see why John Logan Campbell wanted to put a park here. You know, it's one of the most amazing locations to grow stuff, so we're very lucky with that as well.
What is the main sort of thing you're looking to do with your job and with the trees here?
Well, I've said this before, like my favourite part of the job is looking after our veteran trees. So we've got a lot of trees that are coming into senescence, the end of their life. So like sort of nurturing those mature trees and keeping them alive for future generations.
There are 3 sets of heritage trees within the park. The first are the redwoods, the second is an old Algerian oak,
Which is possibly one of our most impressive trees in the park.
and the third is an olive grove.
Yeah, that was planted by John Logan Campbell.
It's that old?
It is very old, yeah. It isn't used as a olive production, but we have harvested it before, and we did press some olive oil, which was quite interesting. I've got a bottle in the cupboard at home somewhere.
Tastes all right?
Tasted great. It had subtle hints of a banana, apparently. I'm not an olive oil expert.
You didn't notice the banana?
No.
The sheer variety of trees is a constant challenge for Thomas.
I always sort of see the park as like an old people's home and a daycare mixed together, because we've got like all these old trees and then all the younger trees. There was a historical gap in planting, so that is quite a unique challenge, that you're trying to get all the little ones to come away and at the same time nurture the older ones. But that's kind of what keeps me entertained, I guess.
With very old trees, is that what you're doing? You're sort of lopping the tops off? Is this an old
Yeah,
one?
well, that's a kind of a crude way of putting it, but we've got technical words that make it sound a bit flashier than that. Give them a haircut. No, we have retrenchment pruning, which is like a slow reduction of the tree, and it is killing the tree, but it's done over a long period of time, and you can slow that process and let the tree come away again, and that keeps the tree in a tolerable range for our risk assessment. Without losing, all the benefits of having a mature tree.
Because I imagine, that's one of the things people come here for, isn't it?
Well, if there wasn't trees at Cornwall Park, it would be like a paddock. I think a lot of people do appreciate it. I love seeing families picnicking and wandering through. People get married under here and forest bathing at the weekend, or whatever people like to get up to. It really is I think it's like a jewel in Auckland. Where else in the world do you really have something like this? It's amazing.
There's something very relaxing and peaceful about trees. Do you find that having to work with them all the time? Or is it just a job?
No, it's definitely not just a job. I try not to take it for granted, and I say to my colleagues every day, we're so lucky to be able to work in this environment. Most people are in the office or racing around the city, and they might come to Cornwall Park at the weekend to sort of have a bit of R&R and get back with nature, but we're doing that every day at work. So in that respect, very, very lucky.
And the birds too. Just heard a bunch of them fly up.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a haven for native bird life, and as I was saying earlier, with some of our understory work that we've been doing, it really has increased the bird life. It's such an amazing food source and habitat for the native birds, and there's a few pheasants and all sorts of stuff dotted around. Yeah,
listen to that.
You wouldn't think you're in the middle of the city, eh?
The bird life in the park is another feature that makes managing Cornwall Park Farm slightly different to other farms.
We have a bit of a pheasant population here. They like the long grass admittedly, and especially that chicory over there. So pheasants and California quail, it's quite a population of them. There's probably a few too many paradise ducks of late. We have a small population of guinea fowl that are there to entertain people. The kids chase them and the guinea fowl chase the kids, and it's around a circus, so it is hilarious watching that. So that's just up there on Chicken Corner. We have a bit of a thing about chickens. People dump chicken or roosters, and other people feed them, so that's not a good thing because they overfeed them and the rats come in, and quite a rat population we've had to control.
I imagine that's one pest that you would have in a city in a greater number than outside of rats. Country farms have rats as well, but it's just an urban thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And we have hundreds of bait stations, yeah, it's just hopeless. But we do what we can on the rat thing. No one wants them, so we just sort of limited the chickens and don't want people to feed them, feed anything along there.
Peter describes his role as farm manager within the wider park as...
It's a three-pronged attack: restrain the loss, education, interpretation and grass control.
For many city folk, Cornwall Park Farm is their only insight into what farming is like, and that can shape their perception of this cornerstone of New Zealand's economy. And keeping a park like this in top shape for visitors would be pretty tough without the stock.
4 guys on mowers all day, every day, or almost every day, mowing grass on the amenity area, but they couldn't really mow all through these rocks and all the rest of it, so yeah.
And what's the main sort of feedback you get from the people of Auckland about the farm in particular?
There's a study Lincoln University did a study, 99% of the visitors of the park liked having the farm here. We like that sort of survey. We've done another one that we funded, and 85% saw some value in the park, in the farm. But it's become integral. It's the farm in the middle of town. People come and expect to see the sheep and the cattle and the cherry blossoms and the pheasants. They expect it now. It's been here a long time.
And if the people I spoke to are any indication, Peter and the team at Cornwall Park are absolutely nailing it.
It's beautiful, and every time we have overseas visitors, I always bring them up here.
What do you like about it? What do you come here for?
Oh God, it's the trees. It's the trees, it's the greenery, and it's the open spaces.
Just the space, a little bit of serenity in the city.
Bit of exercise and a bit of nature, fresh air.
It's great to have that kind of nature, and it is accessible, but it is keeping the animals safe, so it's great.
The greenery and the vegetation, yeah. Get a coffee, do good coffees here.
That was Liz Garton checking out Cornwall Park Farm, which will be hosting a farm week in March next year.